Here are more of the rudest chefs to ever be featured on Hell's Kitchen. We're starting things off with a chef who was extremely arrogant and egotistical. Dan Ryan, who debuted in the 11th season, ranked in 14th place. On the third day during the dinner service, Ryan was at the garnish station with Barrett Bayer. At one point, when Chef Ramsay berated Christian Rosati for inconsistent timing and the blue team for their lack of teamwork, Ryan was very casually seen drinking water. As funny as it may sound, a true team player wouldn't just casually drink water like that. They'd be ashamed at their lack of communication and try to improve, right? But then, during the following dinner service, as they prepared their food, Ryan broke into an argument with Michael Langdon. It all started with Ryan leaving his stuff at Langdon's station. This is what Ryan had to say.
Oh, you're breaking my man, you're breaking my.
Then, when Langdon handed over a metal container and asked what was in it, Ryan answered with a watercress, which was incorrect.
Dan, what is this? Watercress. No, it's not.
Seeing how Ryan was already making mistakes before the service even started, Langdon asked him not to mess things up. This unfortunately caused a huge argument.
You're not in charge of me, all right? Listen, we got service we gotta worry about.
You're my boss, okay?
Later on, during the dinner service, Ryan locked horns with Langdon all over again. The latter lost his patience when Ryan couldn't give a delivery time for his lamb, so he went over to the oven himself.
Put it in the damn oven.
How long?
How long?
You just looked at the lamb. How long? Move.
Ryan came back to check as well, but Langdon angrily ordered him to stay at his station.
Get the out of here.
Get out!
Really?
However, at this point, Ryan looked like he was ready to fight.
Come on, split it up.
Fed up with Ryan's attitude, the famous chef got furious and did this.
Hey, wait, come here, you. Come here. What the is going on with you two?
Ryan was clearly getting on everyone's nerves, but his attitude on the sixth day made viewers even more irritated. Before the dinner service, when Jean-Philippe discussed how it can be hard to deal with angry customers, Ryan said that he would simply be unapologetic to them and said this.
I know they go through some so do we.
That night, both teams were named joint losers, and Ryan as well as Raymond Alongi were nominated.
Blue team's first nominee is Dan. Our second nominee was Ray.
During his plea, Ryan deemed himself to be a team player and claimed that he tried to support Alongi with his fish. However, both Ryan and Alongi got into a heated argument.
You put it back in the fucking oven. I said it was done. I said it was perfect.
It was hard.
Then Zach Womack intervened and said that he was all talk and that he accomplished nothing. Hearing that, Ryan did this.
He's full of shit, Chef.
After seeing this, Womack told Chef Ramsay about Ryan showing him the middle finger, and Ryan just didn't show any remorse for it. Chef Ramsay was in dismay. Womack then explained how hard it was for the blue team to deal with that kind of attitude almost every day. Even though he was almost eliminated, Ryan continued to have an awful attitude. That's why, on the 8th day, after the blue team lost the service, Ryan was named the second nominee for performing poorly and lacking collaborative skills. Honestly, it was long overdue that the blue team threw this man out. During his plea, Ryan said this.
My team doesn't like me, I don't give a fuck.
But Chef Ramsay reminded him that he had to work closely with his team if he wanted to remain in the competition, then kicked him out immediately after. How satisfying. Later on, Ryan came back for the final service, and he was Nedra Harris's final pick. But Ryan was still Ryan. He had the same old awful attitude and continued to be a jerk. Back at the dorms, when Harris asked him to be more of a team player, Ryan simply ignored her.
Be a team player?
Suck it.
Later on, during the prep, when Harris asked him to watch the sauce, Ryan rudely mocked her voice. Then, when Harris rejected his initial strip loin, he decided it would be a good idea to just walk out of the kitchen.
I don't like this at all. And if it's a piece that looks like this, I don't want it, okay?
You guys.
But during the actual dinner service, Ryan acted far worse. Not only did he already have a cold attitude, but he also began to send out cold steaks to customers. When Harris threatened to kick him out of the kitchen,
We are serving hot food tonight. If I get another cold steak, you're leaving the kitchen. You hear me?
Chef.
Ryan arrogantly started to argue with her.
You need to figure out these meat temperatures were wrong. You need to keep it together.
This one's not over.
Since Harris was extremely fed up with his careless attitude, she finally sent him packing.
I don't want you here anymore tonight. Get out.
Yes, Chef.
Sadly though, Harris eventually lost the finals to Janelle Witt. During the celebration, Ryan surprisingly approached her and apologized for his poor attitude. He also promised that he would make it up to her someday. Now that's some good character development. Now, this next contestant shrieked so loudly that it woke every single person up in the dorms. What's more, she picked a fight with almost everyone around, which resulted in most contestants wanting to have nothing to do with her. We're of course talking about Tiffany Johnson, who was featured in the 10th season of the show. She ended up ranking in 9th place. Johnson was extremely lazy during her time in the competition. Although she initially showed an immense passion for cooking, she slowly started to crumble. Unfortunately, her personality and attitude were simply intolerable. On the second day of dinner service, Johnson was at the garnish station. That night, when Barbie Marshall's sea bass was overcooked, Johnson suggested that Marshall fire 4 more sea basses. After Chef Ramsay noticed Johnson's poor advice in action, he reminded them that the fish needed to be ordered first before being cooked.
Fish should be cooked to order. It's fish.
But somehow, Johnson didn't believe the situation was her fault.
I don't understand why I'm getting yelled at. I'm trying to put out food for the customer. I mean, I'm pissed off that he's mad at me.
In the end, after a number of mistakes started piling up, Chef Ramsay decided to kick the red team out of the kitchen. Frustrated, Johnson completely lost her cool back at the dorms and started screaming before knocking her bottle off the counter. The next day, when Johnson was awoken by Marshall's loud dishwashing and stomping, she, along with Robin Almodovar, confronted Marshall. Things got so noisy that it almost woke everyone up. She even threatened to choke Marshall. What a wacko. On the 5th day, Johnson, after hearing Royce Wagner complaining about Kimmy Willis's taco from the Mexican Challenge, wanted a no bitching policy.
I'm on a no bitching policy now.
But she changed her mind after taking a big swig of wine. In a drunken state, she approached Willis and Almodovar and oddly did this.
Dana and Christina. I mean, basically it was like the whole like, oh, she's from the South and why was she using flour tortillas type of like.
From there on, Johnson's attitude worsened by the day. In the 13th episode, Johnson sealed her fate on Hell's Kitchen. During the dinner service, Johnson was at the garnish station. She already had a foul attitude, but that night, she showed that she could care less about anything. At first, Chef Ramsay caught her using a dirty pan.
You're preparing fish garnish in a dirty pan.
He couldn't believe the audacity of this woman and said this.
So she gets the dirty pan and sticks all the fresh garnish in there.
Later on, one of the red diners complained about her potatoes being raw.
Potatoes are raw.
And Chef Ramsay was left feeling utterly dismayed.
Raw potatoes, no, just touch them. Touch the potatoes.
When the famous chef accused Johnson of not caring enough, she did the unthinkable.
You've given up. She doesn't care.
I do care.
While most chefs think twice about retorting Chef Ramsay's comments, here was a chef who straight away, at the blink of an eye, started arguing with him instead. Finally, when the red team was on their final 2 orders, Johnson had no idea how long her potatoes would take to reheat.
I'm sorry, what do you want me to say? I don't know, Kimmy. I don't know.
Seeing her casual behavior, sous chef Andy said this.
You're the floppiest cook I've ever seen my whole entire life.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
Okay, I'm not.
Clearly, everyone was done with her poor behavior. Even sous chef Andy felt the same way. She kicked her out of her station and put Dana Cohen in charge.
You have such a attitude. Why don't you take a walk and Dana take over her section?
Despite this, Johnson didn't look apologetic about her behavior at all.
Have fun.
While Johnson couldn't get away with her poor attitude, awful performance, and absolute lack of passion, this next contestant from season 1 was rude, disrespectful, not a team player, and was a bad chef. Jeff Lepoff from the first season ranked in 10th place. Lepoff's attitude was absolutely pathetic throughout his entire time on the show. During the first dinner service, Lepoff was assigned as a waiter. Having no experience in the kitchen, Lepoff was actually relieved to be out of it. He was confident about working with people since he did that for a living, but this confidence soon died down when he got confused about the tables. None of the customers he served liked him, and they felt like it was the worst customer service they've ever had. The next day, Lepoff wasn't feeling very well due to excruciating pain from his kidney stone.
I have a previous history of kidney stones, and I had one last night.
During the dinner service, he was seen struggling at the garnish station, especially with his timing.
Just give me the f***ing spinach, Jeff.
At one point, he even forgot about the spinach garnish that was needed for his entrees. All he did was complain about his pain.
Well, I was suffering from kidney stones, and the pain was getting more and more intense. At that point, that's when I started losing focus.
We're sure it must have been really hard for him, but all he had to do was excuse himself and leave. But instead, he just chose to stay. He ended up sending out burnt spinach, which made Chef Ramsay say this.
Can you not see that that's burned? Yeah, so you're mixing away like a fucking donkey. Throw the lot away, start again, yeah?
The next day, Lepoff, during the prep, left a hot sheet on the counter, and when Elsie Ramos picked it up, she ended up burning her hand. Moments later, when Ramos finally got him to join back, North and Lepoff got into a heated argument about his behavior. The following day, during the dinner service, Lepoff was at the appetizer station. When he brought 2 lobster spaghetti dishes to the pass, one had no lobster and the other had too many.
One's got all the lobster in, one's missing lobster. Get it even. Let's go back in the pan and get it even.
So Michael Ray helped him out with redoing the dish. While Ray was helping him, Lepoff was seen complaining about not working on the line before. Unlike Lepoff here, we try our very best to make you satisfied. So be sure to drop a massive like down below and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. It's completely free, so I think you should just do it. Anyway, let's get back into this juicy video. When sous chef Marianne mockingly asked Lepov if he wanted Ray to cook his meat as well, Lepov started to argue with her.
Chef, do you want him to cook your meat for you too?
What do you want me to do? I've never been on a fucking line before. I'm doing it. I'm trying.
Later on, Lepov angered Chef Ramsay by taking too much time on his lamb and claimed that he was only following his direction. Then, when Chef Ramsay saw Ray working at his station, the famous chef said this.
Is Michael doing it or are you actually doing it?
Michael was helping me, chef.
Right. So what are you doing then if he's doing that for you?
When Lepov said that Ray pushed him to the side, Chef Ramsay accused him of putting the blame on Ray.
He jumped in ahead of me. I was working on it. He pushed me aside to help me. I'm working.
Now he's blaming Michael.
The famous chef pointed out that he was getting worse as the competition went on. Lepov then said,
Chef, this is my first time on a line.
Hearing this, Chef Ramsay pulled him to the side. When Lepov yelled back saying that he wasn't a quitter, Chef Ramsay retorted by saying that he wasn't a cook either.
You're not a fucking cook either.
From then on, one thing led to another, and Lepov ended up doing this.
You don't like me, I don't know what to tell you. You're an asshole. Oh my God, enough of it.
It's said that after Lepov left, Chef Ramsay confronted him in the parking lot, and apparently he left due to an injury to his ankle. Who exactly do you think was the rudest chef of them all? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, guys.